This episode is titled Blue, a play on an umpire's nickname, as well as the color of sadness, which aptly describes today's subject, Frank Brown, the umpire/civics teacher at Peaks Valley Middle School, the school that our characters all attend. The wiki says Rochelle is his favorite student. If this is true, which it's not, it's only because of her mom, Vanessa. But I mean, hey, a thick Latina single mom? Real women have curves, you know what I mean? Don't check his search history. He probably stalks her online. Or he would if he wasn't so hung up on Miss Park, his ex, who he broke things off with when she pressed him for marriage. If this was a 90s sitcom, this would probably be played for laughs and he'd be a George Costanza type. But this show places character flaws front and center. And although they do it with flair, they don't shy away from the realism of the emotions associated with the characters' choices. Miss Park, she also teaches at Peak Valley, which has to make things awkward going into work every day. Although they do work in separate buildings, so that's good. But for real, don't where you eat. You ever see couples who work together? It sucks. They bicker, not fun for anyone. So why do we see Frank crying, fumbling calls by the week's end? Well, let's start at the beginning. It's been 1 week prior to the championship game. We meet Frank as an uptight, by the book type of individual. We all know someone like this. I used to work a top flight security type of job, and the guys who took it way too seriously, we'd call RoboCops. And that's how I would describe Mr. Brown. He knows his job both on the field and in the classroom. He seems to have an affinity for jobs that hold authority. He craves control in aspects of life where the rules are clearly stated, because he lacks the mental capacity to uphold any sense of order when there's room for error. Like the delicate intricacies of love. What is love? Baby, don't hurt me. The rest. Getting back to our intro, we see him calling plays with the SpongeBob-like enthusiasm. He takes pride in each call, confidently standing by them. We see the final play of this particular game being called in favor of the Pickles. And the opposing team's parents are livid, hurtling insults towards Mr. Brown. Their words are like bullets, but our lovable loser here creates an imaginary blue shield along with the knight's impenetrable armor. With this, he's able to deflect any and all negativity from the crowd or anybody for that matter. This dude, he's so hard-boiled, he even rejects a compliment and hearty handshake from Coach Dan, chucking it off to being just a fair call. He would have ruled the game in the favor of the other team if it would have played out that way. And we hear Rochelle holler at him asking if he liked her catch. Mind you, she's a student of his, but he claims not to know her as he runs off. A concession stand worker offers him a pretzel. He considers this a bribe and rejects her offer. This is some honorable stuff. I'd never turn down a free pretzel, especially a soft pretzel. Get a nice creamy cheese dip or some hot, thick marinara. My God, is it getting hot in here or is it just me? But Mr. Brown, he stands on business. His hand does reach out before his sword smacks it back, putting him in check. As he walks to his car, we see a mom from the opposing team masking up, hiding her face as she also grabs a bat with spikes at the end. Jesus, what is she trying to do? Her child is pleading with her not to embarrass them. Look, if your child's in Little League, I'm sure you can relate. So she goes up to Mr. Brown and the scene is set to look like a fighting game, complete with life bars, like Mortal Kombat, Street Fighter, or my favorite, SNK vs. Capcom. So mom says she hopes he never finds human love as fire erupts from her mouth, pushing Mr. Brown back. Notice here that these words drain his life bar, a foreshadowing of the episode. He retreats to his car, which we see has been egged. Who egged it? Will we ever find out? Who knows? He gets home and greets his hermit crab, a photo of his mom, and a picture of Ruth Bader Ginsburg. I only know her from that one episode of Superstore when America Ferrera cosplayed her. Mr. Brown puts on what looks like Reptar slippers and makes dinner. While sitting at the dinner table, we get a picturesque breakfast scene. The sun is shining. Across the table is the yet unknown Miss Park, smiling, giggling with him, like a scene out of a Hallmark movie. But the sun fades to a bleak darkness, and his bubbly smile turns to a despaired frown. The camera pans out and we see the emptiness of his home, a clear correlation to the void that dwells within him. Because the world around you feels vast and empty when you're alone. We pick up with Mr. Brown in the classroom. It's test day. We see him just as tentative as he was on the softball field. Upon fixing a picture on the wall, he catches a glimpse of Rochelle passing test answers to Kai. Big no-no in the eyes of one Frank Brown. Everyone knows you put answers on the back of your school ID prior to taking the test. He holds the two students after class explaining their punishment, which includes a call to their guardians. Kai storms off in frustration, but Rochelle hangs back trying to talk her way out of trouble. When another teacher comes in inviting Mr. Brown to lunch to a sweet little taco truck. Which, hey, I am a fan of taco trucks. The best burrito I've ever had was from a taco truck. A fat burrito. For like $2.50. It came with cebolla y charra beans. Ooh, man, I'm getting hungry thinking about it. But I need to grab some lunch. My bad. Mr. Brown, he sees and locks eyes with Miss Park, who's standing behind the inviting teacher. And we go into a flashback. The first of many. Turns out, Miss Park and Mr. Brown used to date and were seemingly in love. Look, I ain't calling Mr. Brown ugly or fat. I have no room to talk. My body looks like a funhouse mirror. But I know what I'm talking about when I say that, Mr. Brown, if you got a fine dime piece like Miss Park, you lock that thing down. But he didn't. She asked about marriage and we cut to Mr. Brown's face talking to himself, saying he's not ready. The other teacher and Rochelle are still standing there looking awkward. Mr. Brown said the quiet part out loud. The other teachers dip and Rochelle tells Brown how he screwed up big time breaking things off with Miss Park. He brushes her off, dismissing her from the classroom. As she leaves, we're introduced to the series MVP, Francis, the school custodian. He sees Mr. Brown as a sad puppy who he's gotta help. So Francis hooks him up with a dating app. Setting up a profile, he goes through Mr. Brown's phone looking for pics. So here, Mr. Brown sorta dips his toes in the app, but he exits just as soon as he opens it. From here, we transition to him grabbing a coffee at a cafe he frequents. This scene is brutal, and I have some thoughts. If Francis is the MVP, I'm gonna say Lena, the barista, is the most hated player in the series. Her overtly flirtatious, friendly, cool chick demeanor is giving pick-me-girl vibes to guys she don't actually like. This isn't a new phenomenon. We've seen this before. From Margaret and Mordecai, Esmeralda and Quasimodo, I'd even say Deb and Pedro. These unrequited crushes are hard to watch, especially here in Win or Lose. We see the vibes that Lena's giving off. We all thought she liked Mr. Brown at first. Every sentence stroked his ego. How can anyone blame him for shooting his shot? She laid it on thicker than a 2016 Kelly Clarkson. Girls like this do exist.
You're late. I was hoping I would see you in here today.
Yeah, I slept in. It's nice to see you, Rebecca.
It is nicer to see you.
Women hate them. Guys love them. The problem is they stir up emotions in the emotionally unstable.
No, so she called me courageous for ordering a hot black coffee on a hot day like today.
I get that as a server, barista in this case, you take pride in the job. Absolutely nothing wrong with that. You're in the hospitality business after all. You want to provide excellent customer service and above all, you want that big tip. But there's being professional and there's being toxically flirtatious.
Explain that.
You are courageous. You.
Oh yeah. She's laughing a lot.
And ladies, don't act like you're just being nice. You know how good you look. You know your words carry more weight. Lena starts off by telling Mr. Brown how excited she was for him to come in that day and how she couldn't wait. She serves him coffee extra hot, doing this steamy motion with her fingers. She tells Mr. Brown she'll see him tomorrow, hopefully, as she turns to make another guy's coffee. Sean, who she calls Scene, and then quickly corrects herself only to say it wrong again within 2 seconds. That's not being aloof. You're being cute to give a guy a reason to smile. Guys like me can brush past an interaction like that because it happens so often. But some guys are better off in their sad little blue worlds where everything they see is just blue, like them, inside and outside. You need to leave guys alone in that manner. You might just be the origin story for another woman-hating incel or worse. So these little flirtatious insertions might mean nothing to her, but it's everything to Mr. Brown. As he starts to muster up the confidence to ask her out, she senses this and leans in with a wink and a smile, telling him,
Frank, I bet you're about to say something funny. You kill me.
and giggles her way back to the espresso machine. She doesn't know he's in a vulnerable state, and her flirtatious comments are really giving him reason to believe he's got a shot with her. This is why I always assume the nice chick behind the counter is just being nice. If she tosses a few compliments my way, I take it as a win and I keep it moving. But Mr. Frank here, he asks her out for coffee. She acts like she don't hear him at first, saying,
Do you want to have a coffee?
Yeah, I just had some. Suddenly I have 5 screenplay ideas.
Right.
he should have took this as a sign and walked away. But once she does realize what he's really asking, she makes it worse because she acts like she wasn't just blowing up his ego. She starts acting weird, which makes him act even weirder. She makes it clear that she was just being nice, and then she whispers to herself,
Oh God, I can't believe this happened again.
which lets me know that she's like this with other people, and someone else mistook her quote unquote friendly demeanor as her being interested in him, her, or them. Who knows? Who cares? Again, I get you're being nice, but you gotta stop being so damn inviting. You got guys out here thinking they're in whole relationships with girls like this. We've all seen this out in the wild too, where a guy is trying to flirt with an employee. It's hardcore cringe. So Lena frowns upon the audacity that this guy would read more into her playfully coquettish banter than she let on. Mr. Brown nervously chugs his coffee, burning his tongue in the process, and Lena makes it a point to tell everyone in the cafe not to laugh at him. She says he's like a little brother to her. Not to him directly, but to the rest of the patrons, which he's 32. She has to be early, maybe mid-20s.
This is a betrayal on levels that no one's ever seen.
How you gonna little bro someone older than you? This is how mass murders happen. Hopefully he don't go pop trunk and come back. He gotta find a new coffee spot now. She should have reacted better. She could have just said she had a boyfriend and laughed it off, or she could have said he's too mature for her. She could have tossed him a lifeline is all I'm saying. Something to save face. The fact that she didn't, and this is at least the second time that this has happened to her, she didn't think to cool it with the vampish behavior. It's what makes her the most hated player in Win or Lose. I'm not blaming Mr. Brown one bit for what happened. I'm mad for him. Sorry, I'm getting a little hyped up here. Sorry. Look, sometimes the fantasy in your head is better if it stays there in your head. Because you might go and talk to that girl, the one you built up internally, putting her on a pedestal, and then you realize that you don't have anything in common once the words start coming out of her mouth. I don't know what type of conversations these two had on any other day, but just by looking at them, I can tell he's not her speed. From the gauged earrings, the industrial upper ear piercing, green hair dye, bro, you are an uptight, overweight teacher who moonlights as an umpire. This girl hangs out at dive bars and is on a first name basis with the 90s cover band drummer who plays there every Wednesday night. The only reason this might work is because you're afraid of commitment and she's a shark out there collecting bodies and can't be tied down. But that type of relationship is a conversation best suited for another video. Let's move on. Mr. Brown gets home and sitting on his couch, noticing the empty butt-grooved couch cushion next to him, he decides to get back into that dating app that Francis set up for him. At first, he fights it. He goes as far as to throw his phone in an involuntary action. I say it's involuntary because he threw it hard enough to break the screen. Even with the protection plan, that's still a $100 fix. You don't do that kind of damage on purpose. It was all for naught though because he still gives in to the app. We see him in avatar form, armor on. He's giving off this fake persona, not showing his true self, saying he likes pizza and he's independent, just giving surface level descriptions of himself. He dodges girls left and right, a privilege he only has online. And when he finally does swipe to talk to this chick, She asks what he's doing that weekend, and he makes up some lie to make himself seem cooler than he actually is. And what does she do? She ghosts him, showing that women see through the facade and they ain't into playing games. At this point, Francis pops back up, asking Mr. Brown if he's even trying. These words trigger a flashback to Miss Park asking Frank if he's even trying. Just because she wants a commitment, why is he breaking everything off? He says he's made his decision, the same phrase he says when he's making a call on the field. So she wanted a commitment and he wasn't ready. I get that. But why couldn't it just be left at that? Why break off the whole relationship? Have you ever heard of something called self-sabotage? One of the signs of this is avoiding confrontations or difficult conversations. I present to you Exhibit A, the shield of armor he puts up anytime negativity shows up. He's not confronting anything, he's deflecting it. When Miss Park asks him why he's breaking things off, he answers with the definitive,
"I've made my decision,"
avoiding any real answer. Another sign of self-sabotage is perfectionism and trying to control everything. May I present Exhibit B? He's an umpire and teacher, two professions where he controls the outcomes of the subjugates. And Exhibit C? His attention to perfection, which led him to catching Rochelle and Kai cheating by way of fixing that picture on the wall. Those are all signs of self-sabotage, but why self-sabotage? It's because you fear that you can't live up to the standards of the outside factor. You know you're not good enough, and they'll read you like a book. In the case of Mr. Brown, I think it's because once you let someone in on that level, there's no more rule book that dictates how things are done. You have to sacrifice your authority and transfer power over to your would-be wife. Relationships are 50-50, right? Bullshit. I think women would attest to that. Look, I know women, and I know they want that power. Sure, they let you think you're in control, but you're not. Mr. Brown realizes this, and he doesn't want to give up that position of authority. Sorry, I'm getting away from the episode. Where were we? Francis pep talks Mr. Brown into letting his guard down and giving the app his true self, his vulnerable self. It works, and he's able to finally develop a strong bond with someone, but she remains nameless because it ultimately doesn't matter. He's all about this chick though, until Miss Park enters the chat. She interrupts his attempt to ask this internet crush out on a date. He's in the classroom waiting on Rochelle's mom, Vanessa. No parent-teacher conference with Kai's dad, just Vanessa. They have a parent-teacher conference for the cheating scandal. Miss Park is about to tell Mr. Brown something important, but she's interrupted. Vanessa comes busting in, making Miss Park disregard and leave abruptly. So Mr. Brown tries to explain how Rochelle got caught red-handed, but Vanessa, she's one of those "my child is an angel and would never lie" type of parents. She flips the script and interrogates Mr. Brown like an intense lawyer, asking questions in rapid succession, giving little to no time for response. She gets him to admit he assumed guilt and proceeds to grill into him, asking if he even knows what he's doing. In classic Mr. Brown fashion, this triggers a flashback and we watch a tearful Miss Park walk out the door. Mr. Brown answers Vanessa, saying he thought he knew what he was doing, but lately he has doubts. Vanessa takes this opening, telling him he doesn't want to make the wrong call here. She, of course, is talking about punishing Rochelle, but we all know he's actually talking about his decision on breaking up with Miss Park. So Vanessa leaves and Mr. Brown gets the encouragement to go make things right with Miss Park. Real quick though, if you watch Vanessa's exit on this episode and then you see it on her episode, they play out completely different. Here, she's very obnoxious about being right, and on her episode, she comes off more subdued. This show deserves all the praise, all of it. So Mr. Brown breaks things off with his internet crush, right? Which, it's just an internet thing. He should have waited until he got confirmation with Miss Park. But either way, he then runs off, calling to Miss Park through the hallways, shedding his armor along the way. As he gets to her classroom, before he can open the door, he sees her show off her new fancy engagement ring. This was the important thing that she wanted to talk to him about. This stops him dead in his tracks, and we see tears drown out his eyes. This has to hurt. He wonders if someone else was test driving the car he wanted, if someone else had their hands all up in the interior bringing down its market value, if someone else was filling up that tank, checking the fluids. The show doesn't say this, but as a man, I can unequivocally tell you that this is what he was thinking as his tears filled his eyes. We then flash forward to the championship game. So we pick up on the play where Lori gets hit by the pitch. It's nothing. It's a nothing play in the eyes of Mr. Brown. We seen Lori play it out like this grand gesture in her episode. It was a sacrifice she made for the greater good. She floated into the air, arms wide open. There was a giant ball that hit her, swiping her off the screen. To Mr. Brown though, here, she just got clunked. Nothing special, no theatrics. It's just a bland, basic hit by pitch, by the numbers. And Mr. Brown, a man usually full of pep in his game calling, is tearful, defeated, emotionally depleted. He calls Lori's hit by pitch as she's laying lifeless on the ground. He calls it safe, a call that makes zero sense in the context of the play. And with that, we cut to credits. So we don't know the time frame of Miss Park and Mr. Brown's relationship. We didn't know how long she's been with this new guy. She probably hid her new guy from the other teachers because she didn't want it to get back to Mr. Brown. She didn't want to hurt him. But he put her in that position to begin with, so he has nobody to blame but himself. And I can't even be mad at Miss Park. As for the internet crush, I seen forums saying that Mr. Brown is talking to Vanessa in the dating app, but I didn't see that, not here or on any episode. Let me know where to find that information because I couldn't find it. She does seem like a better fit for him than the barista. Miss Park, of course, was a once-in-a-lifetime chance, but you don't always end up with the one you think you're supposed to. Did you see the final episode of Regular Show? That's how life really is. And this show, for all of its theatrics, it really hits close to home for a lot of us. That's all I got for this episode. What did y'all think of Frank Brown? What do y'all think of the series? Like this vid if you like the vid. Subscribe if you want to hear my take on Rochelle's sad episode. I'll catch you on the flip side. Peace out.